Brilliant. Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Daniel Lawrence. Thank you for taking the time to join us, and I hope you see something useful today that helps you work more productively with HubSpot and other systems in your day-to-day work. We want this webinar to be useful but also interactive, so we're going to be asking a few simple poll questions along the way, which are very easy to answer, and it'll hopefully stop you from falling asleep from the sound of my boring voice. So if you haven't already, I think you can see on screen now, but please go to menti.com and use the code 9678354 or put your camera up to the QR code and you'll be able to submit your answers to the poll questions in live format, and you'll see your scores and your answers coming up on screen. We will also have a final quick 5-question quiz at the very end, and the winner will receive a box of lovely treats from the folks at Flapjackery. Feel free also to submit questions on the live chat on either LinkedIn or YouTube, whichever platform you're watching on, and we'll answer those either at the end or as we go. My colleague Phil, give a wave. There's Phil. He's standing by or sitting by, and he's following the live chat feed, and he'll shout at me if needed. So please do submit your questions to him. And finally, be sure to look out for the handouts we'll be sending out after the webinar, and feel free to get in touch if you have any questions or you just want to chat some more about what you hear today. I'm always happy to share more. However, to open things up, I'd like to start off with our first quickfire poll of the day, and that is from the top 3 biggest challenges or pains that you have when using HubSpot today. The choices should be on your screen now. You should be able to click your buttons to vote. So the poll question is, what are the top 3 biggest challenges or pains that you have when using HubSpot today? While everyone's doing that, if you would like a copy of the combined poll results after the webinar, or a datasheet handout, or the recording of the webinar in full, please email us at hi@botsforthat.com. That's hi@botsforthat.com. You can also, if you want to, join our Future of Work Club at botsforthat.com/Future of Work Club, or you can follow us on any of our social channels to get regular future updates. Okay, and I think the results are mostly in. 1 or 2 more to come. Just doing the final countdown. 3, 2, 1. And the final results are, so what you're saying about the top 3 challenges or pain points: number 1, reporting, not a surprise. Second, CRM integration, then data quality. They're the top 3. Exactly what I would expect to see. So with so much great technology like HubSpot available to us today, why do we all have so much manual work? Well, modern systems like HubSpot can be great, and they can transform how and where we work, but very often their greatest strengths, their ease of access and their ease of use, can also be their biggest weakness, because they're ultimately designed to be used by us manually. So their genericness creates what we call application gaps, or what I like to call app gaps. And these are when the systems just don't do exactly what or when or how we want it to, and it doesn't connect with maybe other systems or data in the way that we need them to. And companies like HubSpot do everything they can to give users what they want, but there's a limit on how much their products can give every user what they want. So, what can help you to eliminate manual HubSpot work? Well, HubSpot and many other software companies, in fairness, have done a great job in building user communities and ecosystems, like the HubSpot Marketplace, for example, which is a way for users to access third-party applications that can extend how you use systems like HubSpot. And sometimes these work, but mostly these apps aren't always as good as we'd like. They still leave gaps, and they can sometimes actually work out to be a little bit expensive. A major drawback of many of these apps is that they're reliant on available and robust APIs, which doesn't always suit what we need. A good or potentially bad example of this is the HubSpot to Xero app, but I'll share more about that one a little bit later. So, what else can eliminate manual work in HubSpot? Well, there's the development approach, where you build in a programmer to design and build a custom automation or integration to fix a very specific problem for you. This would have been the traditional way to solve the app gaps problem in the past, and sometimes for some still is, but the price of that approach can be quite high and can also take a long time to do properly. Plus, what you end up with is a very unique solution that does mostly just one thing. And eventually that thing may not be needed at all because everything changes. So finally, there is one other newer way that you may not have considered yet, and that is automation bots, which are fast, smart, scalable, powerful, flexible, and generally lower cost. Everything that traditional programming and third-party apps aren't always. And in this webinar, we're going to share with you how other businesses, maybe even your competitors, are using bots to eliminate manual work in HubSpot, and in some cases, way, way beyond that. But before we continue, just a quick introduction to bots for that. Very simply, what we do is make your work less work with our hosted automation bots, what we call bots as a service, or Boas, B-O-A-S. Remember that acronym for later in the quiz. And our bots take on all those boring manual tasks so that you don't have to. Just one of our bots can handle the equivalent workload of about 3 to 4 people. So they can save you time, they can boost productivity for your people and your business. Now with that out of the way, it's time to hear from you again. Let's dig into some more pain points soon. But Phil, I'm going to ask you to put up the next quiz, like poll. And the question is, how many systems do you use on average alongside HubSpot? The choices are 2 or less systems, 3 to 6, 7 to 10, 11 or more. And at the moment it seems to be, okay, it's getting a lot of answers now. Nothing in the 2 or less. What I would do is make sure you think about, keep going, Karen, it's fine. Think about email, social media, spreadsheets, word processors, any other applications, whether they're internal and external. So you could, for example, have systems that are that happen with things like signatures, payments, banking, HMRC, all those types of systems that are external as well as the ones that are internal. Just a few more seconds. A few more answers. Okay, voting is now closed, and it looks like the most popular choice with 67% is 3 to 6 systems, which is still quite a lot in itself, alongside HubSpot. Perfect. Okay, great. So, if you'd like a copy of the combined poll results after the webinar, or the datasheet handout, or the recording of the webinar, email us at hi@botsforthat.com. Okay, so. Just 1 second, sorry, what? Okay, that's fine, yeah, just up. No, and again. There you go. That's it, perfect. Sorry, small technical glitch. Right, so, top HubSpot pain points that we've got. So when I talk to different users, and our company is one of those too, by the way, so I speak from experience, but I ask different users what their biggest frustrations with the system are as well, and I get a very common set of answers. In actual fact, the answers are very much identical to users from other systems too. But the top 3 issues that are reported time and again are data integration, or lack of, data duplication, and data reporting, also a lack of. So in summary, the 3 most common issues that users have using HubSpot is getting data in, keeping the data clean, and reporting the data out. And those 3 issues are causing a lot of manual workload across the board. And I also speak from experience here, because I'm a user of HubSpot, I've onboarded it, I've used it on a day-to-day basis, so I know the pain. And that's not surprising. I think the average person will spend about 22 years of their life online, and unfortunately a chunk of that is from doing all of these boring, manual, repetitive and mundane tasks. However, with bots, what you can do is find a better way of working, free up time and hopefully reduce some of those 22 years, or at least spend them more productively and eliminate not just the admin from HubSpot, but also all other kinds of systems too. So let's look at each of those 3 pain points in turn. First, integration and data entry. It's a really typical example. This is when you need to add or update existing records in HubSpot, such as adding clients into welcome or onboarding sequences. And you find you have to do this manually, but maybe even import a CSV file. There's lots of reasons for this, like when the system you want to take the records from doesn't necessarily have a suitable native connection, or perhaps you don't have the right license level, or you use a Mac or a device and not a PC, or you've tried maybe the import wizard, I know I did, and before you ended up with a total mess. Sometimes you have also data fields that are just very unique and don't work. So the bottom line is it happens, and you need a quick, elegant solution that works, but also doesn't create more work than it solves. And I've learned this from experience too. A good example from one of our customers where they have to extract sales order details every day to drive the invoicing in Xero. Simple enough in theory, But they've also got quite a complex business model with multiple product lines and pricing. They often change, and these need a lot of manipulation to get the data they need from HubSpot and other systems into Xero to calculate the correct invoices. And they've got to do all that without taking hours or even days. So when they first introduced us to the process, it was taking on average up to 5 people 2 working weeks to complete a batch for the whole process. But the bots were able to complete everything in less than 3 hours, the same amount of work, saving them all the time. It also obviously get the invoices out the door 2 weeks faster, which improves cash flow, which is very important right now. Cash is king. So in terms of data entry and integration, there's really nothing that a bot can't do when it comes to getting data into or out from HubSpot or to or from other systems at the same time, and multiple systems at the same time. This slide shows a few of the typical systems that bots work with on a day-to-day basis. So you've got things like Google Docs, spreadsheets, email, LinkedIn, DocuSign, and other document management tools, Slack, MailChimp, social media channels, and a whole lot more. That's just some examples. Next up, HubSpot pain point number 2 is data quality, which is a very common issue no matter who I talk to about any system, and HubSpot is no exception. Most businesses struggle with identifying and cleaning up bad data, especially errors and duplicates, which are really common. And if you enable the native integrations with HubSpot, for example, and other systems, you'll soon have a host of bad data that's building up really quickly. I've lost count the number of contacts like suppliers and HMRC that have been automatically added to our HubSpot contacts when they really shouldn't have been, and vice versa, ones that should aren't. At one of our customers, for example, we have a bot that uses algorithms that we built to automatically search through thousands of records each day to identify potential duplicates, and then also handle those duplicates by merging, disabling, or deleting them. It can save hours and hours, and it does for this customer, of manual work, and it also helps with regulatory compliance too. And this bot has proven very valuable in betting and gaming, financial services, and legal firms. And another example of our customers, they were having a lot of data quality problems in their customer contact center. And because they've got very high customer volumes and service level targets, the team were always working through backlogs and always had high error rates as a result. It meant that they had to spend time finding the errors first. Unfortunately, sometimes the customer did that for them, which is never a great experience. And then they had to correct the errors and then review them for quality. And all of this takes resource and time, which costs money. With bots, we help them take a 2-stage approach to fixing this. First, a bot that worked through the backlog and cleaned everything up, and then a second bot to manage the new data processing and prevent bad data from becoming an issue in future. And this is possible because bots can connect with multiple systems at the same time and ensure your data equality is maintained and synchronized across all those systems, basically one version of the truth. And lastly, the third of our top 3 user pains is reporting, which pretty much tops the poll as it did today of all the application pain points these days. And that's because we all have such different needs and requirements, whether it's the industry or vertical that we work in, the size of our business, our goals, our priorities, or just individual preference. These all cause reporting challenges for any system and its users. What we generally end up with is a set of generic or best fit downloads and dashboards. In other words, we end up with a compromise. And what we always end up doing to solve this is taking the dumper out, putting it into a spreadsheet or a CSV, and then manually manipulating and resolving that data to get what we want. But this is far from ideal. Our time is simply too precious to waste, and really good spreadsheet skills to do that properly aren't always that common. So the approach that we've developed using a bot is to standardize the production of your reports, but not to standardize or restrict what you're getting or what the insights you're getting from the data. A good example is another of our customers is a professional training services company, and their client services team have to create and publish reports every day for their clients. And the reporting demands become more elaborate and more specialized depending on the tier of client that they are. But they all want to see different types of data reported in a different way. So that's a massive undertaking for their client services team, which relies on mostly overnight downloads that often failed or were cut short because they had too many rows of data. And then a flurry of activity every morning to try and pull all the reports together into spreadsheets, which frequently didn't happen on time. So we were able to give them a bot that could run the reports it needed automatically create customized spreadsheet reports for each client, do all the formatting to their needs, and then distribute those reports as well. So the clients had everything they needed ready first thing in the morning, and that's the thing that people like most. The bot was also able to accommodate all the different variables for each client, even down to the format and the text, so that their unique report parameters like formats of cells, rows, columns, numbers could all be modified and updated by the client service team or the client themselves on a day-to-day basis, which makes it future-proof for changes, but without having to change the bot in any way. And we call that change everything without changing anything type of solution. So, bots can be used not only to eliminate the top 3 pain points, but to eliminate lots of other manual work using HubSpot. For example, we've got used in sales to automate follow-ups, searches and sales orders and quotes. You can use them in customer services to look after requests and updates, especially where chat is involved. And also bots can seamlessly interact with chat platforms between agent, customer, to handle those requests and pass the information around as they need to. Bots can also be used in marketing to manage leads and campaigns, and for general HubSpot admin to set up, onboard, offboard users, or also customers and sequences. All types of tasks really that are manual and repetitive, but the real advantage of a bot is they're not restricted to any type of activity. We have bots, for example, that might work through HubSpot sales orders in the morning and then go on to processing invoices in Xero in the afternoon before switching to handle payroll or HR or something else again through the night. Because bots can now be shown to perform any kind of task really, and they can work 24/7, 365. They don't take vacations, no sick, they just work, work, work. A guy called Tom, he's the customer service manager at one of our customers, and he said it best. He said, it's like having an extra member of staff that's super fast, super accurate, and doesn't mind starting work at 6 a.m. in the morning to get the work done. And that's something I always keep going back to. Anyway, before we continue, I think it's a good time again for another quick fire poll question. And this time, we've got Phil. What I'd like to ask is how many hours a day on average do you spend processing admin on HubSpot? Got some immediate answers coming in there. Again, think about those data tasks we've covered so far, all those pain points, entering and inputting, cleaning and cleansing, outputting, manipulating and reporting. So yeah, 2 hours, 3 to 5, 6 to 9, or 10 or more. Again, include all the time on things like email, social media, spreadsheets, word processors, apps, internal and external systems, all related to administration of HubSpot. A few more seconds. Again, if you'd like a copy of the combined poll results, data handout, or the recording webinar, please email hi@botsforthat.com. Voting is now closed, and okay, 2 or less is 50%, and then 3 to 5 is 40%. That's quite high in itself, and 6 to 9 is 10%. So that's it's fairly good high numbers still. Okay, Phil, let's just do a quick check on live chat. Any questions come in? People know how to answer?
A couple here. First question we have, does a bot run by itself or does it need someone to run it on HubSpot?
Say that again, please, Phil.
Does a bot run by itself or does it need someone else to run it on HubSpot for them?
Perfect. Good question. So actually it's the best of both worlds. It's better than that because a bot can run what you'd call a lights out, unattended, without any interruption, but it can also run on a trigger, so a person can set a bot to run, or it can do a hybrid approach of both of those, and it can run lights out transaction processing for a number of things, stop for exception handling or approvals and decisions, and then go back onto the bot. So it's a hybridized approach. Basically anything is possible out of that.
Okay, we've got another one here as well. I've seen some add-ons and extras in the HubSpot marketplace. Which do you recommend and which do you not? What are best for bots to be used on?
Slightly controversial. So I'm actually I don't want to jump ahead, but we've got some slides coming up in a second about one or two in particular to not waste time on, and we've got some alternatives for. The best thing is to go onto the marketplace itself. You'll see the scores, the ratings for each of them. Again, something we'll show in a second. But there's very few that I actually use now. I've tried many over the years and different signature ones. And one of the challenges with things like HubSpot is that the nature of the apps that are on there continually change, and you've got no control over that. So when things change, you have to change, you're forced to almost change your process. Anyway, let's talk a bit more next about the bots themselves. Without getting too technical, in the first place, bots are digital and exist only in a virtual sense. They're not physical, so you can't see them or touch them. You can't really even watch a bot performing its work most of the time because they either work at speeds the eye can't follow or they work invisibly in the background and there's nothing for a human eye to actually see. Bots are what we would call non-invasive because they don't need to be integrated into the systems that they work on. They just access your systems in three main ways to do their work, and those three ways are user interface, application interface, and custom interface. So the first of those, the user interface or UI, is where a bot performs its work by simply accessing HubSpot or any other system via the user interface, which is what you and I would see. So a bot navigates all the same screens, menus, key taps, shortcuts, mouse moves, exactly the same as you and I would do. In fact, we set up a bot in the same way that you would a new employee with a username and password, so they can access the systems that they need to work on. And this makes bots really easy and fast to set up and make changes to. However, on the downside, there's always a downside, bots working at the UI level can of course run into and get impacted by the same interface issues that you and I would experience, such as website outages, software bugs, or performance issues. However, the good news is that bots have the advantage of also being able to work via a second method, and in the same way that computers do best, by accessing systems and doing their work through the back end using an application program interface or API. And APIs are becoming more and more popular with, as I said earlier, communities developing applications around them, such as the HubSpot Marketplace, which provides more and more apps to connect with your systems to do more of what you want. However, a word of warning, APIs aren't always the answer because they don't always do what we want and they're not always available for every system that we use. Such as, a good example is maybe multi-directional updates. You'll find struggling to find an API that goes in both directions. So the application interface has some limitations too, which brings us to our third way that bots can work with these systems, and that's by using our own custom bot application interfaces, which can be built very quickly in order to make their work easier and fill in the gaps from both the user and application interface methods. But bots aren't limited to using any one of these methods. They can actually use all of them in a single process and even switch from one to another very seamlessly should one of them fail to work in the way that it's expected to. The custom interfaces also allow a person to be inserted into the process, as well as I was referring to in the question that was asked. But you can insert a person into an automated robotic process to provide decision-making or exception handling. And that gives users a major advantage when using bots, which means you can also optimize the process to a level that you may not have thought possible previously. So, although we're talking specifically about bots for HubSpot today, no process ever starts and ends in the same place. There are always inputs to and outputs from another process, and these usually involve different systems, different people, or different departments. And this is another major advantage of using bots because they're what we call task agnostic. Unlike bots, you and I can't realistically be trained to perform any and every task in your business, but bots can. Not only that, but bots can also switch seamlessly from task to task, allowing you to achieve mostly that straight-through processing across departments and teams that's very hard to achieve. For instance, we've got bots that work on reports for accounting overnight, downloading from the ERP system and building management reports ready for the morning. Those same bots then start work processing sales orders or switching new client or existing client data to for sequences and campaigns and onboarding. And then maybe moving on to do customer support requests later on, and then into HR to do employee requests and inquiries, before ending the day with some more processing in another area of the business. The point is, most people start with a bot working on one particular set of tasks in one process area, but very soon realize they can expand across more steps in an end-to-end process and then into other processes in the business because of the ability that the bots have to flex and scale. Now let's take a look at some real-life examples of HubSpot bots in action and where they've been used to successfully eliminate manual admin and work. The first of these is a really great and messy, disjointed customer onboarding process. In its previous and very overcomplicated manual state, it was taking far too many different people, far too long to do an onboard for every single client correctly and accurately. They had to work in 9 to 10 other systems, as we saw on the poll this morning, alongside HubSpot, which didn't have any decent native integrations to connect them up, and nor did they manage to support the unique onboarding process in the way that our customer wanted it to. So their only solution before the bot was a very manually intense process that was very much people dependent to operate and often fell short or fell over altogether and gave a really poor customer experience. This customer of ours was also growing very quickly, and so the onboarding of their clients quickly and effectively and properly was becoming an obstacle to their ability to scale. When a bot was used instead to do all those swivel chair steps, it eliminated all of the manual work for everyone in HubSpot and other systems, including those manual steps that the client had to do involved in that process. And the onboarding process could begin from several different points, depending on the nature of the client or the engagement which they had. But with every single client being receiving a fully and accurately onboarded in the same clean, clear and pleasing way without any exceptions. The knock-on effect was that invoices were also sent out sooner, or I should say on time rather than late, and payments therefore came in on time too. Remember, cash is king. So the bot means they can now onboard as many clients as they can sign up without having to use up manual resources to do the admin part. As a result of handing the work over to a bot, we were also able to improve and optimize the onboarding process through what we call our ESSA, our ESSA approach to building bots, which simply stands for Eliminate, Simplify, Standardize and Automate. And this naturally results in a much better process. Okay, our next example is one that several of our customers are using, including accounting and law firms, marketing agencies and technology firms. We even use it ourselves. It's a great example where a smaller business can really benefit from a bot. The process itself is very straightforward and common for most businesses and involves using HubSpot alongside Xero to automatically produce customer invoices. It begins with a simple trigger, typically a closed won order, which then updates the customer and contact details and creates the invoices and the payment or the payment request. Simple enough in theory. However, it's such a simple and common process that you'd think someone would have already solved it or at least tried. Well, I said I was going to answer this one a little bit later when the question came in. Let's take a look who has tried. So HubSpot themselves tried to fix this problem. They've had a go. You can see from the ratings and feedback from online, everything from 1 to 2 stars, one-way sync only, not worth looking at, no use, very limited integration. So they had a go. Didn't go well. Problem is everybody does something a little bit different with different types of systems, different rules, different timings and values. Anyway, the users weren't that complementary. So who else had a go? Well, Xero, that's who. And surely you think, well, they could solve this. They're the experts at this after all. And they've got a massive, huge members base. It also didn't go that well, unfortunately, as the comments again reveal. 1 to 2 stars, a useless integration. Not the most complementary results. Again, it's partly the approach taken. It's a generic API-based solution, a one-size-fits-nobody result, unfortunately. However, bots came to the rescue again here. A real-time automated result from closed won deals through to the invoice sent and customer onboarded. 100% of the time, manual time, was freed up. A more frictionless process for you and your customers, and no errors or misses. And that's probably the big one itself. So we use this bot ourselves and have also updated and added a step in where our bot actually updates our project management system too and creates a new project boards for each customer so we can track what's happening. And it saves us so much time. And our final example today, it's not really an example as such, it's more of a glimpse of the art of the possible and the ways that you can extend both of those examples even further using smart bots that can interact and engage with systems and people very, very naturally to create a more seamless or frictionless end-to-end process for things like onboarding and order management using HubSpot alongside all types of other systems and processes. So a smart bot could liaise between your chatbot and your live agent systems to really optimize your processes. But we may cover this in more detail in a future webinar. So If you want to ask more questions, feel free to get in touch and I'll be glad to help. So we're almost coming near to the end of the webinar now. Before we finish up and do the quiz, I just want to share our current top 5 HubSpot bot recipes. I have to really think about saying that. It's a tongue twister. So our top 5 HubSpot bot recipes, they're basically simply a predefined bot that are built for a very specific purpose. They're almost plug and play. They can be deployed very quickly to start working on common tasks, and they can be tweaked in order to give you exactly what you need. But they'll obviously eliminate a lot of those common and manual repetitive tasks. All of our bot recipes are configurable to suit your requirements. The top 5 list is always changing, and it has done over the last few months, but over the past 2 or 3 months, these have been our most popular. So HubSpot bot recipe number 5 is a bot that can add and update your contacts in HubSpot based on any data that you're using. That might be a newsletter, subscribers, visitors to the website, attendees from online events like this one at LinkedIn. A bot can make the connections in real time from the source directly, but our number 5 bot often does this via a CSV, because that's a lot of the way that a lot of people start their process currently. So a lot of people tend to start with that. However, direct connections are possible. And it can then add new contacts. It can also validate those contacts against other sources and make sure there's no errors or missing data or incorrect emails. They can all be corrected first, and then they can be included and added to your next campaign. But the thing is to clean up the data before it goes to HubSpot, rather than just dumping bad data in and then trying to figure it out. HubSpot bot recipe number 4 is a multi-activity pack, which takes care of a lot of very manual tasks in HubSpot, such as adding and removing, updating, uploading and downloading files, handling reports and searches, all automatically. The bot can free up loads of time by performing those common, basic, manual, repetitive tasks. And although it varies from business to business, on estimate, I would, from what I've seen from across my different customers, I'd say it probably removes about 80% of the manual work from that day-to-day type of activity that people are spending, I think it was 3 to 6 or 6 to 9 hours on each day. So next is bot recipe number 3, which is an extension of number 4 to manage even more tasks, especially less standardized ones or ones that are more customized or much more complex. It can be used in conjunction with bot number 4 or in isolation. There's no dependencies between them. And bot recipe number 2 is one of our very popular ones. It's a perfect partner and connection with the Xero accounting system, like the one I described earlier. Although we do have also bots that connect with other accounting systems too, like Sage, QuickBooks, FreshBooks, etc. This bot can handle data traveling both to and from both systems and back again as necessary, and you can incorporate other systems and data sources into that process too. This bot really does overcome those app gaps that I explained earlier, left from the current APIs, and solves the problems that both HubSpot and Xero were unable to do. And finally, in the top spot, bot recipe number 1 is our Accelerator bot that is a specialist for working on spreadsheets and reporting. It's brilliant for HubSpot, but it also works with almost any other system as well, where you have to extract data. It's a bot that most of our customers use and love because it can access any system to retrieve the data automatically and create very powerful, useful, up-to-date information and management reports that are properly formatted in the way that you want them to, in the way that users like to see it. So it's fully customizable for users to get what they want. So to summarize and wrap up for today, there are, as always, many ways to solve the pain points that users such as yourself are having in HubSpot with data integration, data quality and reporting. Now, the latest and greatest of which you can add to that list is bots. And today we've looked at how this works with a few real life examples. As a more traditional alternative, you can always throw people at the problem if you can afford to find them, which is finding more difficult. And you can build integrations using the available APIs if that gives you what you need at the price you can afford. Or alternative is to give bots a go because they're quick, cost effective and customizable. And because our bots are built and hosted for you, there's no work for you to create or maintain them yourself. Bots can automate a lot of steps in the sales services process across HubSpot and other systems for much more seamless processing, faster time to sale, and a more frictionless customer experience. Our top 5 bots for HubSpot can eliminate most manual work that makes you less productive today. So if and when you're ready for a bot, I'd certainly love to hear from you. Now let's answer any final questions that have been submitted online. Phil, over to you.
Yep, we've got one here. What type of systems and apps do bots work with other than HubSpot? And is there anything a bot can't do in HubSpot?
Okay, so the second part of the question, is there anything it can't do in HubSpot? No, is the short answer. We haven't found one yet. Maybe that's an opportunity for a challenge to be laid down. If someone can find something that you think one of our bots can't do, I'd happily accept that challenge. But other than that, in addition to HubSpot, we can work with pretty much any system that has a user interface or an application interface, or we can build a custom one. So there's really very few systems that a bot can't operate and work on. All the common CRM systems, ERP systems, supply chain, project management, you name it, it will work with it. I think we can even work with devices, on handheld devices. So one or two customers we have where we do system testing and QA testing for them before things go live or when things go live onto devices and websites. So we've got bots that work there. And we have the ability, I think, to even do an old green screen if someone has still one of those banging around, which occasionally you do find one. Okay.
We've got another question just come in actually. How much does it cost?
Ooh, millions. So it depends. We have a number of packages. We have a price that's per bot recipe, as we call it. So if you were going to have a recipe that takes all of the outputs from HubSpot, or all of the data that needs to go into HubSpot to onboard a number of sequences and a number of clients and put them into sequences and roll them, update them again in time later, and then output that into something else. That was effectively all one single recipe. So we have a single price monthly fee for a recipe and for hosting it, but you only pay for the time that a bot actually runs. So if it's not running, you're not paying for it.
Another question just come in. Do people give names to their bots?
Sadly, yes, they do. We've had quite a few names over the past, everything from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, actors' names, footballers' names, horses' names. Yeah, people do tend to give them names and humanise them, which is quite nice in some ways.
That's all the questions we've got so far.
Fantastic, okay, great stuff. So, I did say there was going to be a quiz at the end. So for everyone who stayed on till the end, it's time for the mini quiz. It is literally going to take about 60 seconds and there will be a prize for the person with the highest score at the end. And I believe it's the final fifth question. Speed of the question answered, right, is...
Yes, on the final question, so question 5, answer as quickly as you can to get maximum points so you can try and win those flapjacks.
Fantastic. Okay, do you want to...
Yep, so hopefully you've been playing along already, taking part in the polls, but if you haven't been, go to menti.com, use the code 9678354, give yourself a name, join the quiz quickly before we start, and, well, try and win those flapjacks, I suppose.
Yeah, you will like these flapjacks. It's a kilo box of flapjacks of multiple flavours, and they're all delicious. I've tried and tested most of them. That was a lockdown experience I will never forget, nor will my gym instructor. So these will come out in the post. So whoever wins, we'll just need to make sure we get name and address so that we can post them out. Ready, Phil?
Yep, probably give people a couple more seconds to join and then we can start.
No worries. This is where we need the elevator music.
Just playing in the background.
Yeah.
Right, I think we can probably go ahead and start the quiz now.
Great, okay, go for it. Okay, question number one. What does Boas stand for? B-O-A-S. Is it bots as a service, bots as a solution, or bots as a sausage? I'm leaning towards number 3.
Yeah, I have a feeling it might be bots as a sausage.
Mm-hmm. These are really hard questions, Phil.
Very hard.
Who actually picked bots as a sausage? Okay, the correct answer was, of course, bots as a service. Question number 2. True or false? Lack of data reporting is one of the top 3 user pain points with HubSpot. True or false? 3, 2, 1. Time's up and the answers came in. Everyone got it right. There we go. Brilliant. It of course was true. Question number 3, please, Phil. True or false, the 3 ways that bots can access systems are user interface, application interface, and custom interface. True or false? I feel like a game show host. Time is up. Please don't. Oh, who answered false? The answer, of course, was true. Question number 4, please, Phil. The penultimate. Which one of these is an example of where bots are currently being used in HubSpot? Customer experience, customer service expert, or customer onboarding? Three seconds. Time is up. Okay, and of course the answer was customer onboarding bot. Having said that, we also could do a customer experience bot and a customer service export bot, but we didn't talk about those today. And the final question, please, Phil.
So this is the one you've got to be fast on.
Fingers at the ready. Number 1 top 5 bots was number 1 in our top 5 bots for HubSpot. So HubSpot to Xero, Coffee bot, Accelerator bot. Tough one. I'm quite liking number 2.
I hope it's the coffee bot.
I hope it's a coffee bot too. Damn, it wasn't. Okay, and the correct answer was, of course, the Accelerator bot, our beloved spreadsheet automator. So, Phil, do we have a winner?
We do.
Leaderboard, leaderboard, leaderboard. It's Char. Char was fastest. Char, you are the lucky winner of a box, 1 kilo box of flapjack from Flapjackery. So we will get your details afterwards. If you want to get in touch, Phil, with Char, or Char, get in touch with us and let's make sure we get your details to post them in. And they will be on their way to you very soon. Again, if you'd like a copy of the combined poll results from today's webinar or the data sheet handout or recording of the full webinar, please send us an email to hi@botsforthat.com. It's on the bottom corner of the screen. If you have any questions after the webinar, please give us an email, get in contact with us on LinkedIn, give us a direct message. We're always willing to talk more and answer questions about bots and what they can do for you. So that's all for today. Please look out for our next webinar coming up in July, and that's going to be on Xero bots for the Xero accounting system. And we're going to have a special guest who's going to be joining us for that one. So please look out for that one and come and join us in July. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know and get in touch. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.